April Ashworth's scream echoed through the marble-floored penthouse as she clutched her phone, security footage showing Celeste walking straight into the storm. "What do you mean she just walked out?" April demanded. "She's blind. She can't navigate alone." Henry Kane, April's executive assistant, was already coordinating with security teams throughout the building. His fingers flew across multiple screens, pulling up camera footage from every exit. "She took the main elevator down to the lobby at 4 p.m., he reported. "That's impossible," April whispered. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as they approached Meridian Tower. Detective Sandra Okafor arrived within minutes, bringing a specialized child abduction team. "We've already issued an Amber Alert," she informed April. "Was there any indication of where she might have gone? Any unusual behavior recently?" April shook her head, then stopped her Braille reader. "She's been using it more often lately and said she was reading new stories." She led the detective to Celeste's room, a meticulously designed space with adaptive technology seamlessly integrated into colorful, child-friendly furnishings. The Braille reader sat on Celeste's desk. Detective Okafor examined it, pressing several buttons. "We'll need to have our tech team analyze this. There might be—" "Wait," April interrupted, spotting something on Celeste's bed. A small sheet of paper covered in raised dots, Braille. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. Detective Okafor watched her face. "What does it say?" April had learned Braille alongside Celeste years ago. The message made her blood freeze. "Mama, someone says you're not my real mother. I'm going to find the truth. Someone's been communicating with her," April whispered. Detective Okafor immediately radioed her team. "Possible child abduction scenario. Target may have been groomed through electronic communications." As emergency protocols activated across the city, Henry approached with his tablet. "Miss Ashworth, there's something else." His voice dropped. "The board members are already calling. The Ashworth Foundation Gala is tomorrow night. They're concerned about optics. My daughter is missing and they're worried about optics? There's more," Henry continued. "The adoption agency that placed Celeste with you 8 years ago called. They want to check on her well-being." Suddenly, after 8 years of silence. The timing wasn't coincidental. April felt the carefully constructed pillars of her life beginning to crumble. Everything she'd built, her company, her charity work, her family, all of it hinged on Celeste. And someone knew it. The detective's phone rang. "We have a possible sighting," she announced. A traffic camera picked up a child matching Celeste's description walking past First National Bank toward the Cathedral District. "But that's impossible," April repeated. She couldn't navigate downtown alone. 7 blocks from Meridian Tower, Thaddeus "Tad" Monroe hunched beneath his makeshift shelter as the downpour intensified. A wounded pigeon fluttered against his chest, its wing bent at an unnatural angle. Tad's fingers, remarkably clean despite his circumstances, moved with practiced precision as he fashioned a splint from a popsicle stick and strips of clean gauze. "Easy now," he murmured to the bird. The commotion of the busy street didn't disturb his concentration. Years of battlefield surgery had taught him to work amid chaos. But something caught his peripheral vision, movement that triggered his trained instincts. A small figure weaving through pedestrians, head held high despite the rain. A child, alone. Tad gently placed the splinted pigeon into a small box lined with cloth and tucked it beneath his shelter. His focus shifted entirely to the girl moving through the crowd. She carried no umbrella, her clothes already soaked through. What struck him was her confident stride, purposeful, determined. Pedestrians parted around her, some casting concerned glances at the unaccompanied child, but no one stopped her. Tad rose to his feet, wincing at the familiar pain in his right knee. He grabbed his worn canvas bag and moved into the crowd, keeping a careful distance. Something wasn't right. The girl navigated around obstacles without hesitation, yet she moved like someone who had memorized a route rather than someone responding to their environment. When she reached the busy intersection at Cathedral Square, Tad's concerns spiked. The girl stopped at the curb as the crossing signal turned red, but her attention was focused on a phone in her hand. A message appeared to absorb her completely, causing her to step forward despite the signal. A delivery truck accelerated through the intersection, its driver oblivious to the small figure now directly in its path. Tad moved without conscious thought. Decades of military training and medical instinct propelled him forward. He lunged for the child, wrapping his arms around her tiny frame and rolling them both safely onto the sidewalk as the truck thundered past, horn blaring. "Easy there, little star," he whispered. "Someone's been feeding you lies." The girl tilted her head, her eyes unfocused, but her face turned directly toward his voice. It was then he recognized her from newspaper photos and charity billboards. "Are you the one who sent the messages?" she asked, her voice surprisingly steady for a child who had nearly died. "About my real family?" Tad studied her face more carefully. Celeste Ashworth, the blind daughter of billionaire philanthropist April Ashworth. Except something wasn't adding up. Her unfocused gaze seemed practiced rather than natural. "No, child, but I know who did," he replied. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Tad noted multiple people now pointing in their direction, phones raised. It wouldn't be long before authorities arrived. And with his appearance, he knew how it would look, a homeless man with the missing Ashworth heiress. "We need to move," he said gently. "There are people looking for you, but not all of them want to help." "You know about the messages?" Celeste asked. "About my real mother?" "I know someone wants you to believe certain things," Tad answered. "But first, I need to get you somewhere safe. Do you trust me?" "Your voice sounds kind, like someone I used to know." Tad guided her toward the cathedral, where he knew Sister Magdalene would be preparing the evening meal for the homeless. The old church had been his sanctuary for years, one of the few places that didn't turn away a man who looked like he had nothing to offer. Police sirens echoed through the narrow streets surrounding Cathedral Square as Tad guided Celeste through a side entrance of St. Michael's Cathedral. The massive wooden door, weathered by centuries of rain and sun, creaked as he closed it behind them. "Are we in a church?" Celeste asked. The acoustics of the space changed her voice, giving it an ethereal quality. "Yes," Tad confirmed. "St. Michael's. It's a safe place." Sister Magdalene looked up from her desk as they entered, her silver-framed glasses perched on her nose. At 78, the nun had spent decades running the cathedral's outreach programs. Her eyes widened at the sight of the child. "Thaddeus," she began cautiously. "Is that Celeste Ashworth?" Tad finished. "She was being lured downtown. Classic trafficking setup." "You poor dear, you're soaked through," she said, helping Celeste dry her hair. "You're safe here." "I wasn't being trafficked," Celeste protested. "I was going to meet someone who knows about my real family." "Celeste," the nun said gently, "did these messages come through your Braille reader? How did you know that?" Sister Magdalene retrieved a folder from her locked drawer and handed it to Tad. "Because you're not the first, child." While Celeste changed behind a privacy screen, Tad flipped through the folder. It contained dozens of cases, children with various disabilities who had received mysterious messages promising reunions with real families. Some had disappeared entirely. Others had been found in trafficking situations across state lines. "We've been tracking these cases for years," Sister Magdalene explained. "They're not random kidnappings. They're targeted extractions of very specific children. Disabled children," Tad murmured. "Not just any disabled children," Sister Magdalene corrected. "Children who were adopted by wealthy, high-profile families. Children whose disabilities generate significant charitable donations, tax benefits, and public sympathy." Celeste emerged from behind the screen, now dressed in dry clothes. "I can hear you, you know," she said. "I'm blind, not deaf." Tad smiled despite the gravity of the situation. The girl had spirit. He guided her to a chair near a stained glass window where afternoon sunlight streamed through in vibrant blues and reds. Carefully positioning himself to observe her reactions, he asked, "Celeste, can you tell us about these messages? When did they start?" 3 weeks ago, she answered. "They said they knew the truth about me. That my mother, April, isn't my real mother. That I was taken from my real family when I was a baby. And you believed them?" Sister Magdalene asked. "Not at first," Celeste admitted. "But then they knew things, personal things about me. They said they could prove everything if I met them downtown today." Tad watched her closely as a shaft of colored light moved across her face. Something caught his attention, a subtle reaction he couldn't ignore. "Celeste," he said carefully, "what color is the light coming through the window right now?" Sister Magdalene shot him a confused look, but Tad kept his focus on the girl. Celeste hesitated. "I don't know what you mean. I can't see colors." "You turned your face away from the red light when it hit your eyes," Tad observed. A normal response for someone with photosensitivity. The cathedral's bells rang, marking the hour. Celeste's head turned toward the sound, but Tad noticed something else. Her eyes tracked the movement of Sister Magdalene as the nun crossed the room. "Celeste," Tad said, "I was a doctor once, a surgeon who specialized in treating children. I think something very wrong has been done to you, and I need you to trust me so I can help." He picked up a pen from Sister Magdalene's desk and moved it slowly from left to right in front of Celeste's face. Her eyes followed it unconsciously before she caught herself and forced her gaze to remain unfocused. "You're not blind at all, are you, little star?" "I'm not supposed to tell?" she whispered. "The bad things will happen if I tell." Sister Magdalene gasped. "What bad things, child?" "To my mother, to April," Celeste clarified. "They said if I ever told anyone I could see, men would come and take her away. That's why I have to pretend, all the time, even when it hurts." Tad's medical mind was already cataloging possibilities. "The eye drops," he said. "You take medication for your eyes, don't you?" Celeste nodded. "3 kinds, morning and night. They make everything blurry sometimes, and the light hurts. But I can still see. I've always been able to see." The implications were staggering. Tad exchanged a grim look with Sister Magdalene. "They're not creating disabled children," he said. "They're creating the appearance of disability and selling the charitable image to wealthy families who profit from the sympathy." Sister Magdalene finished. A sharp knock at the office door made them all freeze. A young volunteer poked his head in. "Sister, there are police officers at the main entrance. They're searching the cathedral. Something about a missing child." Sister Magdalene nodded calmly. "Thank you, Michael. Please tell them. I'll be right there." As the door closed, Tad turned to Celeste. "We need to keep you safe until we understand what's happening. There's something much bigger going on here. But my mother will be worried." "Your mother," Tad said, "may be part of this system without even knowing it. Or she may know everything. We can't be sure yet." Outside, police radios crackled as the search moved closer to their location. Sister Magdalene moved to a bookshelf and pulled a specific volume, revealing a small switch. Part of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow passage. "The Underground Railroad wasn't just history in this cathedral," she explained. "These passages have sheltered those in danger for generations. They'll keep you both safe while I speak with the police." As they slipped into the hidden passage, Celeste clutched Tad's hand. "How did you know?" she whispered. "About my eyes?" "Because I've seen this before," Tad answered. "A long time ago. And it destroyed my life when I tried to expose it." The wall slid closed behind them, plunging them into darkness, a darkness that, for once, Celeste didn't have to pretend affected her more than it actually did. Rain lashed against the glass-walled executive suite of Ashworth Industries as April paced, phone pressed to her ear. The citywide search for Celeste had entered its 3rd hour, and each passing minute unraveled another thread of her carefully constructed life. "I don't care what resources it takes," she snapped into the phone. "Every camera, every officer, every search team, find her." Detective Okafor stood nearby, coordinating with officers through her radio. "The Cathedral District search is underway," she reported. "We've secured all transportation hubs, and facial recognition is running on every camera feed in the city." April ended her call and pressed her palms against the cool glass, looking out at the storm-darkened skyline. Her reflection showed a woman barely holding herself together, a stark contrast to the confident CEO whose portrait hung in the company lobby. "Miss Ashworth," Detective Okafor said, "we need to discuss something concerning. The messages on Celeste's Braille reader came from an encrypted source. Our tech team can't trace the origin, which suggests a sophisticated operation, not an opportunistic predator. Before April could respond, the elevator doors opened. Henry Kane entered, accompanied by 3 members of the Ashworth Foundation board. "What are they doing here?" April demanded. "Emergency board meeting," said Eleanor Winters, the silver-haired chairwoman. "Given the circumstances, my daughter is missing, and you called a board meeting?" "Precisely because your daughter is missing," interjected Richard Patel, the Foundation's legal counsel. "The gala tomorrow night has 400 confirmed guests, including the governor and 2 senators. The press will be looking for Celeste. We need a unified response strategy." Detective Okafor excused herself to take a call, stepping into the hallway. "My 8-year-old daughter is out there alone, possibly kidnapped, and you're worried about the gala?" Eleanor's expression softened slightly. "April, we understand you're distraught. But the Foundation's annual gala raises over $30 million for children with disabilities. Canceling would impact thousands of families who depend on our programs." Henry cleared his throat. "There's another matter," he said. "Financial." "What financial matter?" April demanded. Henry opened his tablet and displayed a spreadsheet. The auditors flagged this during the quarterly review. Tax deductions, government grants, and charitable status benefits related to Celeste's condition amount to approximately $50 million annually across your corporate holdings. "What are you implying?" "Nothing," Henry assured her. "But if there's a prolonged public situation regarding Celeste, the IRS might review these filings more closely." "Are you suggesting I'm using my daughter's disability for tax benefits?" "Of course not," Eleanor interjected. "But we must be prepared for media scrutiny. Headlines like 'Billionaire Mother Loses Disabled Daughter, Was She Overwhelmed?' are already appearing online." Detective Okafor returned. "Miss Ashworth, we have footage of Celeste nearly being hit by a truck in Cathedral Square. A homeless man pulled her to safety." She displayed the grainy traffic camera footage on her tablet. April gasped as she watched the near miss, then the man leading Celeste away. "We're treating this as a possible abduction now," Detective Okafor continued. "Teams are converging on St. Michael's Cathedral, where they were last seen entering. I want to go there," April insisted. "Miss Ashworth," Detective Okafor cautioned, "I understand your urgency, but it's better if you—" April's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, then stiffened. "It's the adoption agency." The room fell silent as she answered, putting the call on speaker. "Miss Ashworth," came a clinical voice. "This is Dr. Matthias Corvus from Global Family Connections. We've received an alert about Celeste's situation." "How?" April demanded. "The police haven't released her name to the media yet. We maintain monitoring protocols for all our special placements," Dr. Corvus replied. "I'm calling to offer our assistance in locating her. Our organization has resources that might help." Detective Okafor gestured for April to keep him talking while she signaled an officer to begin tracing the call. "I appreciate that, Dr. Corvus," April said, "though it's curious you're reaching out now. Your agency hasn't contacted us since the adoption was finalized 8 years ago." "Special circumstances require special attention," he replied, "particularly given Celeste's unique medical history. Has she maintained her prescribed regimen during this incident?" "Regimen?" Detective Okafor mouthed. "Her eye medications," April explained. "She needs them twice daily." "Indeed," Dr. Corvus said, "missing doses could have unpredictable consequences. We strongly recommend locating her quickly. Our team is already en route to assist." "En route?" April echoed. "I didn't authorize. It's standard protocol in our contract, Miss Ashworth. Page 17, paragraph 4. You granted perpetual medical oversight authority in emergency situations." The call ended abruptly. Detective Okafor immediately contacted her team. "Be advised, an unknown third party claiming medical authority over the child is attempting to insert themselves into the search. Consider potentially hostile." She turned to April. "What exactly was your arrangement with this adoption agency?" 8 years ago, after 3 miscarriages and failed fertility treatments, I sought a private adoption. Global Family Connections specialized in placing special needs children with wealthy families. They said they had a newborn with congenital blindness who needed an exceptional home. And you paid them? $2 million, April admitted, plus annual medical monitoring fees. It was presented as a premium placement service for a child with complex needs. Did you ever question why a newborn already had such a specific diagnosis? Detective Okafor asked. They provided detailed medical records, April explained. MRIs, specialist consultations, genetic testing. Everything documented her condition, Henry interrupted, reading from his tablet. Detective, the call was routed through multiple countries, but we traced it to a cell tower near Cathedral Square. Dr. Corvus is already in the city. Miss Ashworth, Detective Okafor warned. I strongly advise, my daughter is out there, April cut her off. And now, I'm not sure who's actually trying to find her or why. I'm going to that cathedral. We'll escort you. But stay behind our officers. If this Dr. Corvus is there too, I want to know exactly what his interest is in your daughter. As they headed toward the elevator, Eleanor called after them. What should we tell the board about tomorrow's gala? Tell them their CEO is busy trying to save her daughter from whatever conspiracy is unfolding. The rest can wait. The elevator doors closed on her determined face, leaving the board members exchanging uncertain glances. None of them noticed Henry lingering behind, sending a text message to an unlisted contact, Ashworth heading to Cathedral. Situation escalating. Orders? Deep beneath street, Michael's Cathedral. A network of tunnels stretched like arteries through the bedrock of the city. Tad led Celeste by the hand, his small flashlight illuminating their path. Despite the darkness, he noticed she navigated the uneven floor with surprising confidence. You really can see, can't you? He asked. Yes, Celeste admitted. Most of the time, when I don't take the medicine, everything gets clearer. But I'm not supposed to skip it. What happens when you skip doses? My eyes stop hurting. The colors get brighter, she hesitated, and I get in trouble. They test me sometimes, drop things or move furniture to see if I bump into them. Who tests you? Your mother? No, the doctors who visit every month. They make notes and ask me to read Braille while they watch my eyes. If I look at something I'm not supposed to see, they increase my medicine. Tad's jaw tightened. After navigating several turns, they reached a heavy wooden door. He knocked in a specific pattern, and it opened to reveal a surprisingly modern medical space, clean white surfaces, examination equipment, and computer stations. Doctor. Evelyn Kai looked up from her microscope, her gray-streaked hair pulled back in a tight bun. Thaddeus, she greeted him, then noticed Celeste. Is that Celeste Ashworth? Tad confirmed. Evelyn, she can see. They've been medicating her to create the appearance of blindness. Dr. Kai approached slowly. Hello, Celeste. I'm Dr. Kai. I help children who've been hurt by bad medicine. Would it be okay if I looked at your eyes? Celeste hesitated, looking to Tad for reassurance. You can trust Dr. Kai, he assured her. She's been helping me document cases like yours for years. Celeste nodded, and Dr. Kai led her to an examination chair. As she began a gentle evaluation, Tad moved to a large corkboard covered with photos, documents, and red string connecting various elements. The Compassion Network, Tad explained. That's what they call themselves. A trafficking ring that doesn't just steal children but manufactures disabilities to increase their value. Dr. Kai administered eye drops to counteract Celeste's medication. Her pupils are responding normally now. Celeste, how long have you been taking eye drops? For as long as I can remember, she answered. 3 different kinds. The blue ones sting the most. Dr. Kai exchanged a knowing look with Tad. Cyclopentolate and mydriatics, she confirmed. Systematic chemical intervention to simulate visual impairment combined with psychological conditioning. Tad turned to the wall of photos. Tell me about your medicine, little star. Celeste described her daily regimen, specific eye drops morning and night, pills that made her sensitive to light, and monthly injections during her checkups. Dr. Kai documented everything. It's consistent with the other cases, she told Tad. They're not permanently damaging the children's vision that would reduce their value. They're inducing temporary symptoms that require ongoing treatment, treatment that generates ongoing medical expenses, charitable donations, and tax benefits, Tad added. He beckoned Celeste to join him at the corkboard. Do you recognize any of these children? She studied the photos of dozens of children, all with various apparent disabilities, all adopted by wealthy families. After a moment, she pointed to several faces. I've met them at galas. This is Senator Hartwell's son, Tyler. He has autism. And this is Isabella Chen. Her dad owns technology companies. She can't walk without braces. Dr. Kai approached with a tablet. We've identified at least 200 children across 12 countries. They're not just creating blindness, autism symptoms through ketamine microdosing, mobility issues through targeted nerve damage, developmental delays through controlled malnutrition. And the families buying these children? Tad asked. Politicians who need sympathy votes, celebrities building charitable brands, corporate leaders avoiding taxes. Dr. Kai's voice was bitter. They're not parents, they're customers. A security monitor beeped, showing police vehicles surrounding the cathedral above. They're looking for Celeste, Dr. Kai observed. Not just the police, Tad said, pointing to a black SUV with tinted windows that had parked across from the cathedral. The network is here too, Doctor. Kai moved quickly to a cabinet, retrieving a small case. Celeste, these are special eye drops that will counteract the medications in your system. They'll help your eyes feel better, but won't completely normalize your vision yet. That takes time. As she administered the drops, Tad showed Celeste more photos. Do you recognize this man? Celeste studied the image. Dr. Corvus. He checks me every month. He's scary. Matthias Corvus, Tad confirmed. The American coordinator for the network. But he's just the local manager. The operation spans globally, with processing centers in Switzerland, Dubai, and the Philippines. A door opened at the far end of the room, and Sister Magdalene entered through another tunnel passage. The police are searching the entire cathedral, she reported, and April Ashworth has arrived with them. My mother is here? Celeste asked. Celeste, Tad said gently, we don't know if your mother is aware of what's been done to you. She might be an unwitting participant in this system, or she might be fully complicit, Dr. Kai added. No, Celeste shook her head. She loves me. She wouldn't hurt me. Sometimes people can love their children and still be part of a harmful system, Sister Magdalene explained. Your mother might believe she's doing what's best for you. Dr. Kai turned to Tad. What's our next move? We need to understand April's role before we expose everything. If she's a victim, too, she could be a powerful ally. And if she's complicit, then Celeste needs protection from her, too. Sister Magdalene moved to the security monitors. There's someone else with the police, a man in a suit speaking with the officers. He seems to be directing them away from the south transept. Tad looked at the screen and his expression hardened. Corvus. He's steering the search away from these tunnels. How would he know about the tunnels, Doctor? Kai asked. Because this isn't his first time hunting children here, Tad replied. Sister Magdalene has been helping trafficking victims escape through these passages for decades. Celeste moved to Tad's side, taking his weathered hand in her small one. I want to see my mother, she said. I need to know if she knew about my eyes. That's dangerous, little star. If she's part of this, I'll know, Celeste interrupted. I've watched her face every day of my life while pretending I couldn't see it. I know when she's lying. There's another problem, Sister Magdalene noted. Senator Patricia Hartwell has just arrived. The security monitor showed a poised woman in her 50s emerging from a government vehicle, flanked by men with the unmistakable bearing of federal agents. The Senate Committee on Child Welfare chairwoman herself, Dr. Kai murmured. How convenient. She's part of this? Celeste asked, staring at the monitor. Her son Tyler's autism generates millions in research grants that her committee approves, Tad explained. And her husband's pharmaceutical company manufactures the treatments for conditions the network creates. Dr. Kai checked her watch. Celeste's eye drops should be taking effect. Her vision will be improving, which means decisions need to be made. Tad finished. If we're going to expose this network, we need irrefutable evidence and powerful allies. He looked at Celeste. Are you sure you want to confront your mother? Yes, she said, but I want you with me. Tad nodded. Sister Magdalene, is the passage to the sacristy clear? Yes, but once you're in the cathedral proper, you'll be visible. That's the point, Tad said. A public confrontation limits their options. They won't risk exposing their operation with witnesses present. Dr. Kai handed Tad a small device. Wear this. It's recording everything, audio and video. We'll be monitoring from here. As they prepared to leave, Celeste tugged at Tad's sleeve. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Because 15 years ago, I discovered what they were doing to children like you. And when I tried to expose them, they destroyed everything I had. He paused, something unspoken in his eyes. And because helping children is what I was born to do, little Star, Sister Magdalene led them to the tunnel that would take them into the cathedral's sacristy. Before they entered, Dr. Kai handed Celeste a small pendant. This has a microphone, she explained. No matter what happens, keep it on. Your testimony will be crucial to bringing down the network. The weight of their mission settled on Tad's shoulders as he took Celeste's hand. They were about to challenge a conspiracy that reached into the highest levels of power, with only truth as their weapon. The soaring stone arches of St. Michael's Cathedral's main sanctuary echoed with the footsteps of police officers and search team volunteers. Stained glass windows cast jewel-toned light across the ancient floor, creating pools of color that Celeste could now see with increasing clarity as Dr. Kai's counteracting medication took effect. Tad and Celeste emerged from the sacristy door, immediately drawing the attention of nearby officers. Radios crackled with urgent communications. Target located, east side, near the altar. Within moments, they were surrounded by police. Detective Okafor pushing to the front of the group. Celeste Ashworth? She confirmed. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Celeste assured her. This man saved me from a truck. He brought me here to keep me safe. Detective Okafor turned her attention to Tad. Sir, you need to step away from the child. Detective, Tad replied, my name is Dr. Thaddeus Monroe. I'm a former pediatric surgeon. This child is in medical danger, and we need to speak with her mother immediately. Celeste. April's voice rang through the cathedral as she pushed past the officers, dropping to her knees and embracing her daughter. Thank God you're safe. Celeste returned the hug, but her eyes, now tracking movement with obvious precision, were studying her mother's face intently. Detective Okafor gestured for her officers to surround Tad. Sir, you're being detained for questioning regarding a possible abduction. He didn't abduct me, Celeste interjected. He saved me. I left home because of the messages telling me about my real family. April's face paled. Messages? What messages? Before Celeste could respond, the cathedral's massive doors swung open. Senator Patricia Hartwell entered, flanked by federal agents in dark suits. Behind her walked Dr. Matthias Corvus, his medical bag clutched in one hand. Miss Ashworth, Senator Hartwell called, striding forward with practiced authority. I came as soon as I heard. The Senate Committee on Child Welfare takes such incidents very seriously. Detective Okafor stepped forward. Senator, this is an active police investigation. We haven't requested federal involvement. Child welfare crosses jurisdictional boundaries. Detective, the senator replied. Doctor, Corvus approached April and Celeste. Miss Ashworth, I need to examine Celeste immediately. If she's missed her medication schedule, there could be complications. Tad, still surrounded by officers, spoke clearly for the recording device. What complications, Dr. Corvus? Complications like her vision improving? Like her realizing she's never actually been blind? The cathedral fell silent. All eyes turned to Tad, then to Celeste, who was now obviously tracking the movement around her. This man is clearly delusional, Dr. Corvus said. Detective, I recommend you remove him while I attend to my patient. April looked between Dr. Corvus and her daughter, confusion evident on her face. What is he talking about, Doctor? Before Doctor, Corvus could respond. Celeste spoke up. I can see, Mama. I've always been able to see. The medicine makes it blurry and painful, but I can see. April's expression froze. That's not possible. You were diagnosed at birth. There are medical records, specialists' opinions, all falsified, Tad interjected. Your daughter is part of a trafficking network that creates the appearance of disabilities in children, then places them with wealthy families who benefit from tax breaks and charitable status. Senator Hartwell stepped forward. Officers, arrest this man for spreading dangerous conspiracy theories and interfering with a child's medical care. Detective Okafor hesitated. Doctor Corvus, is there any medical test that could verify the child's visual capacity? Of course not. Not without proper equipment, he replied. The man is clearly delusional. Miss Ashworth, we should remove Celeste to a proper medical facility immediately. Actually, Tad countered, there are several simple tests we could perform right here. He addressed Celeste directly. Little Star, can you tell me what color jacket the senator is wearing? Navy blue with silver buttons? Celeste answered. Dr. Corvus recovered quickly. Clever parlor tricks. Someone could have described the senator to her. Then perhaps, Tad suggested, the senator would be willing to write something on a piece of paper that no one else has seen and ask Celeste to read it. Senator Hartwell's composed facade cracked slightly. This is absurd. Detective, I must insist you end this charade and release the child to proper medical authorities. Detective Okafor studied the senator's reaction, then turned to one of her officers. Get me a piece of paper and a pen. She wrote something quickly, then knelt before Celeste. Can you read this, sweetheart? Celeste glanced at the paper. Is this man telling the truth? Yes, detective, he island, the gathered officers murmured among themselves. Doctor, Corvus attempted to approach Celeste, but Detective Okafor blocked his path. I think we need to continue this discussion at the station, she said. April had not moved. I don't understand. All these years, Miss Ashworth, Senator Hartwell said. Your daughter belongs to the network, April. You've been paying rent, not adoption fees. Time to return our property. Tad stepped forward, breaking through the circle of officers. As he approached April, something in her expression changed, recognition dawning in stages. Those blue eyes, the same eyes she saw in the mirror every morning, the same eyes Celeste had inherited. Hello, V-Bird, he said, using a nickname no one had called her in 30 years. We need to talk. April's knees buckled. Dad? The revelation rippled through the gathered crowd. Detective Okafor looked between them, noting the undeniable resemblance now that they stood face to face. That's impossible, Senator Hartwell snapped. Thaddeus Monroe died in a house fire 15 years ago. This is an imposter. No, Tad replied calmly. The fire was set after I discovered what the network was doing. I survived, but everyone was told I perished. It was easier to discredit a dead man than a living one. Doctor, Corvus edged toward the door, but officers moved to block his exit. April stood frozen. You left us, she whispered. Mom died thinking you'd abandoned us for drugs. I never abandoned you, Tad replied. I was taken, destroyed. Everything I tried to tell you about the network was dismissed as paranoid delusions. Detective Okafor made a decision. We're taking everyone to the station. This situation has far too many layers to unravel here. Senator Hartwell's composure returned. Detective, I must remind you who you're dealing with. The federal government has jurisdiction here. Actually, Senator, came a new voice from the cathedral entrance. You don't. Dr. Evelyn Kai walked forward, tablet in hand. Behind her stood Sister Magdalene and several individuals in FBI windbreakers. Special Agent Roberts, FBI Crimes Against Children Unit, a tall woman announced, displaying her credentials. Senator Hartwell, Dr. Corvus, you're both persons of interest in an ongoing federal investigation into child trafficking and medical fraud. The cathedral erupted into controlled chaos as federal agents took command of the scene. Detective Okafor conferred with Agent Roberts while officers secured Dr. Corvus, who had attempted to dispose of his medical bag in a baptismal font. Amidst the commotion, April, Tad, and Celeste found themselves in a bubble of relative calm near the altar. 3 generations of the same family, bound by blood but separated by a conspiracy none of them had fully understood until this moment. "Is it really you?" April asked. "It's me, V-Bird," he confirmed. "And I think your daughter, my granddaughter, deserves to know the truth about her family. The real truth." Celeste looked between them, her eyes, truly seeing them both clearly for the first time, wide with wonder. "You're my grandfather?" Tad nodded. "I am, and there's so much I need to tell you both." Agent Roberts approached them. "Miss Ashworth, Mr. Monroe, we need your statements, but first we should move to a secure location. The network has extensive resources, and this situation is far from contained." As they prepared to leave the cathedral, Senator Hartwell called out from where she was being detained. "This isn't over, Thaddeus. The network reaches further than you can imagine. You'll never be safe." Tad met her gaze steadily. "Perhaps, but for the first time in 15 years, we have something more powerful than fear." He placed one hand on April's shoulder and the other on Celeste's. "We have the truth, and we have each other." As federal agents escorted them through the cathedral's main doors, the evening sun broke through the storm clouds, casting long shadows across the ancient steps. For Celeste, seeing the world without the haze of medication was overwhelming, colors more vibrant, details sharper, and most importantly, the faces of her family now clearly visible. Dawn broke over the federal safe house nestled in the forested outskirts of the city. April stood at the window, watching the golden light filter through autumn leaves. 36 hours had passed since the confrontation at St. Michael's Cathedral, and the world she had known was unraveling thread by thread. In the kitchen, Tad prepared breakfast with the precision of his surgical training, while Celeste sat at the table, drawing with colored pencils, a simple activity that held profound meaning for a child who no longer had to pretend she couldn't see colors. Agent Roberts entered, carrying a tablet and several file folders. "We've gathered the preliminary evidence," she announced. "Dr. Corvus is talking, hoping for leniency." Senator Hartwell, however, remained silent. She laid the files on the table, opening the first to reveal classified military documents. "Operation Charity Shield," Tad explained as April joined them. "A joint CIA corporate program using manufactured disabled children as unwitting intelligence assets and tax shelters for funding black operations." "I don't understand," April said. "Think about it," Agent Roberts replied. "A blind child in the home of a billionaire technology executive. A deaf child adopted by a defense contractor. These children see and hear everything, but no one guards their words around them because they're perceived as disabled. They're perfect surveillance tools," Tad added. "And the families receive massive tax benefits for their charitable adoption, which funnels back into black budget operations." April sank into a chair. "Are you saying Celeste was placed with me as a spy?" "Not just that," Tad said. "Your entire empire, April. They've been steering your investments, your partnerships, your government contracts. You've been funding their operations without knowing it." He displayed a complex web of April's business connections over the past 8 years. Highlighted in red were dozens of seemingly unrelated companies, all ultimately connected to front organizations for Operation Charity Shield. "The adoption agency didn't just place Celeste with you," Agent Roberts explained. "They placed a handler in your organization." She slid a photograph across the table. April stared at the image. "Henry? My assistant? Former CIA operative," Tad confirmed. "He's been monitoring Celeste's condition and influencing your business decisions since day one." Celeste looked up from her, drawing. "Is that why he always brought my eye drops when the doctor visited?" "He said it was to help, but they always made everything go blurry again." Agent Roberts nodded. "We've identified similar handlers in 23 other households, all placed alongside children from the network." "What happens now? To my company? To my foundation?" "That depends," Agent Roberts said carefully, "on how much you knew. I knew nothing about falsifying Celeste's condition. I believed what the doctors told me, that she was born blind." Everything I built around childhood disability causes was genuine. But the tax benefits? Yes, I took them, April admitted. My accountants handled the details. I never questioned whether Celeste's medical documentation was legitimate. Tad placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. The network's genius was making everyone complicit without their knowledge. The families, the doctors, the charitable foundations, all unwittingly supporting a system of abuse. A young FBI analyst entered, interrupting their conversation. Agent Roberts, we've got movement. The board of Ashworth Industries has called an emergency meeting. They're voting to remove Miss Ashworth as CEO, citing medical fraud concerns and failure of oversight. April's face hardened. They can't do that without my shares. That's just it, the analyst continued. There's unusual trading activity. Someone's accumulating your stock at an accelerated rate. The network is moving to seize control of your company, Tad explained. It's their standard containment protocol. They're cutting you off from your resources before you can use them against them. Agent Roberts's phone rang. Senator Hartwell has been released, she announced after ending the call, diplomatic immunity claim via her committee role, and she's holding a press conference in 1 hour. To discredit us, Tad said. Another standard protocol. They'll paint me as a delusional homeless man, April as an overwhelmed mother who neglected her special needs child, and Celeste as a confused little girl manipulated by conspiracy theorists. April paced the room, her business instincts kicking in. We need to counter-message immediately. I still have media contacts who— No, Agent Roberts interrupted. The moment you reach out, they'll trace the communication. This safe house location will be compromised. Celeste, who had been quietly drawing throughout the conversation, suddenly spoke up. What about the others? The adults turned to her. The other kids like me, she clarified. If they stop taking their medicine too, will they get better like I am? Tad knelt beside her. Yes, little star. Then we need to help them, Celeste said. All of them. Her drawing revealed what she'd been working on, a remarkably detailed map of locations, names, and connections, all from her memory. These are all the kids I met at galas and charity events, she explained. And these are the doctors who came with them. I remember everything I saw, even when I pretended I couldn't see. Tad examined the drawing. Photographic memory, he murmured. Another reason they wanted her cognitive functions suppressed with medication. Agent Roberts studied the drawing. This is incredible. Locations, names, connections we didn't even know about. 23 children, Celeste said. That's how many I've met who are like me. They all had doctors who came with them to events. They all took medicine that made them sick. April stared at her daughter with newfound understanding. All those charity galas and foundation events, the network was using them as meeting opportunities. Hiding in plain sight, Tad agreed. A security alert chimed on the safe house system. Agent Roberts checked the monitor. We've got a problem. Unmarked vehicles approaching the perimeter. Tad moved immediately to a window, his military training evident in his posture. Black SUVs, government plates, not bureau standard. How did they find us? April asked. Agent Roberts checked her secure phone. They didn't. At least, not through official channels. Her expression darkened. We have a leak, or a tracker, Tad suggested, turning to Celeste. Your pendant, little star, the one doctor, Kai gave you at the cathedral. Celeste touched the small necklace she still wore. The microphone? May I see it? Tad asked. She removed it, handing it to him. Tad examined it carefully, then cracked it open with a precise application of pressure. Inside, alongside the microphone, was a tiny GPS transmitter. Dr. Kai, Tad murmured. She's been working on both sides. Agent Roberts immediately activated evacuation protocols, directing her team to prepare for immediate departure. We have less than 5 minutes before they breach the perimeter. April gathered Celeste close. What do we do? Tad's expression was resolute. We go underground. I've been preparing for this possibility for 15 years. But the evidence, Agent Roberts began. Make copies, Tad instructed. Everything we have. Celeste's drawing, the Operation Charity Shield documents, all of it. As agents hastily copied files and wiped computers, Tad led April and Celeste to a closet at the back of the safe house. He removed a floorboard, revealing a hidden compartment containing passports, cash, and encrypted phones. "Dad," April whispered, "you knew this would happen? I've been tracking the network since they tried to kill me," he explained, handing her a passport with her photo but a different name. "These are emergency identities, clean, untraceable. I update them every year, just in case." "You've been watching me?" April asked. "From a distance," Tad confirmed. "I couldn't risk approaching you, but I never stopped protecting you. When I saw the news about your blind adopted daughter 3 years ago, I knew the network had found a way to use you too." Agent Roberts appeared. 2 minutes. "Transport's ready at the back exit." Tad handed her a small drive. "Everything I've gathered on the network for 15 years. Names, locations, financial trails. Use it if we don't make it." The agent nodded. "My team will create a diversion. Get to the vehicle and head for the secondary location we discussed." As they moved toward the exit, Celeste tugged at Tad's hand. "What about Dr. Kai and Sister Magdalene? Are they in danger too?" "Sister Magdalene has her own protection network," Tad assured her. "And Dr. Kai?" Celeste pressed. "She's made her choice." Outside, engines roared as vehicles approached. Agent Roberts directed them to a nondescript sedan with tinted windows. "This car has diplomatic plates. It should get you through most checkpoints without scrutiny." As they prepared to leave, April turned to the agent. "Why are you helping us? The network clearly has influence in federal agencies too." "Because I have a niece," Agent Roberts replied. "Adopted by my sister 5 years ago. Born with cerebral palsy," they said. "After what you've revealed, I'm not so sure anymore." The implication was clear. The conspiracy had touched countless families, including those of the agents investigating it. As they drove away from the safe house, Tad took a circuitous route through back roads and rural highways. Celeste watched the landscape pass, reveling in the clarity of her vision as the medication continued to leave her system. "Where are we going?" April asked. "To the one place the network can't reach," Tad replied. "A facility they don't know exists, built by people they've underestimated for years." "What people?" "The ones who escaped," Tad said. "Former products of the network who've been building a resistance movement. People like me, who were destroyed but not defeated." From the back seat, Celeste spoke up. "I remember something Dr. Corvus said once, when he thought I couldn't hear. He told someone on the phone that the Swiss facility is ready for the next processing group. The manufacturing center," Tad said, "where they create the disabilities before placing the children." "Then that's where we need to go," April said. "Not just to hide, but to stop them, permanently." As they drove toward an uncertain future, 3 generations united by blood and by purpose, the car radio broadcast breaking news. Senator Patricia Hartwell has announced an investigation into what she calls dangerous conspiracy theories targeting legitimate adoption agencies. Meanwhile, the board of Ashworth Industries has voted to remove April Ashworth as CEO, citing concerns about her mental state following her daughter's traumatic abduction. The mountain road wound through dense alpine forest, each hairpin turn revealing glimpses of snow-capped peaks against the twilight sky. After 3 days of careful travel, changing vehicles, using cash only, and staying off main highways, they had finally reached the outskirts of Lugano, Switzerland. Tad navigated the rental car with practiced precision, his eyes constantly checking the rearview mirror. Beside him, April studied a secure tablet containing files transmitted by Agent Roberts before communications went dark. In the back seat, Celeste dozed, exhausted from their journey but recovering more of her natural vision each day. "The facility should be just beyond the next ridge," Tad said. "Officially registered as a specialized pediatric research institute." April looked up from the tablet. "According to these financial records, it receives funding from 17 different pharmaceutical companies, all subsidiaries of larger corporations owned by network members." "Perfect cover," Tad noted. Medical research justifies the specialized equipment and controlled environment. And Switzerland's privacy laws shield them from outside scrutiny. He pulled the car to the side of the road, parking behind a stand of thick pine trees. From their elevated position, they could see lights illuminating a modern complex nestled in the valley below, glass and steel architecture disguised with traditional alpine aesthetics. Tad retrieved a pair of high-powered binoculars from his bag. 3 main buildings, he observed, perimeter security, controlled access points, but designed to look like a high-end medical spa rather than a fortress. "How do we get in?" April asked. "We don't. Not directly." Tad returned the binoculars to his bag and removed a secure satellite phone. "We have allies inside." Celeste stirred in the back seat. "Are we there?" "Almost, little star," Tad assured her, "just waiting for our guide." As if on cue, the satellite phone buzzed with an incoming message, "Creek bed, 15 minutes. Come alone." Tad's expression revealed nothing, but April caught the tension in his shoulders. "You're not going alone," she stated. "I have to," he replied. "This contact won't approach if there's more than one person." "Dad, we just found each other after 15 years. I'm not losing you again." "I survived 15 years on the streets while hunting the network," Tad reminded her. "I know how to stay alive." He checked his watch, then retrieved a small case from beneath the driver's seat. Inside was a compact handgun and a set of communication devices. "Military-grade encrypted comms," he explained, handing earpieces to April and Celeste. "If anything happens, you drive away immediately." Agent Roberts left emergency protocols on the tablet. "I don't like this," April protested. "Neither do I," Tad admitted. "But we're out of options. The network has already frozen your assets, taken your company, and branded us fugitives. This facility is our only chance to gather concrete evidence." Celeste leaned forward from the back seat. "I'm coming with you." "Absolutely not," April began. "Actually," Tad interrupted, "she might be right. Have you lost your mind? Our contact is a former nurse who escaped the facility 3 years ago. She's been helping us document what happens inside, but she's extremely cautious. She specifically requested I come alone because she doesn't trust adult strangers. But she might trust a child," Celeste reasoned. "It's too dangerous," April insisted. "Mom," Celeste said, "I've been living dangerously my whole life without knowing it. I've been drugged and lied to every day. At least now I understand the risk." "She has a point," V-Bird. "And 2 people moving through the forest is safer than 1. After intense debate, they reached a compromise. Tad and Celeste would meet the contact while April maintained communications from the car, ready to implement emergency extraction if needed. As dusk deepened into night, Tad and Celeste made their way down a steep path toward the creek bed, using the dense forest for cover. The facility's lights glowed in the valley below, deceptively peaceful. "Stay close," Tad whispered. "Watch where I step. I can see better in the dark now," she assured him. They reached the creek bed, a shallow stream gurgling over smooth stones. Tad scanned their surroundings, senses alert for any sign of their contact. "You brought the child," came a soft voice. "Smart." A figure emerged from behind a large boulder, a woman in her 40s with close-cropped gray hair and alert eyes. She wore hiking clothes that blended with the forest. "Katja," Tad acknowledged. "Thank you for coming." The woman approached cautiously, her attention fixed on Celeste. "Which program were you in?" she asked. "Blindness simulation," Celeste answered. "Cyclopentolate and mydriatics, plus light sensitivity inducers. They've increased security since you published those photos online," she told Tad. "The network knows you're closing in." "We need to get inside," Tad said. "We need irrefutable evidence of what they're doing." "Impossible," Katja replied. "Even my access is limited now. They've compartmentalized operations after the American exposure. There must be a way." Katja hesitated, then pulled a small device from her pocket, a security badge. "This will get you into the East Wing maintenance areas. From there, you might reach the processing center." She glanced at Celeste. "But not with the child." I'm not leaving her. You won't need to, Katja explained. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., a new group arrives. 12 children scheduled for evaluation. I can add her to the intake list as a transfer from the American program. Absolutely. Not, Tad objected. We're not sending her inside alone. Not alone, Katja corrected. I'll be the intake nurse. Once inside, she can create a distraction while I unlock the secure server room. That's where all the evidence is stored. Medical protocols, client lists, financial records. It's too risky. I can do it, Celeste interjected. I know how to pretend. I've been pretending my whole life. Katja studied the girl with newfound respect. She has courage. She's 8 years old. I want to help the other kids, Celeste insisted. Little star, you don't have to do this. We can find another way. What other way? She challenged. You said yourself the network reaches everywhere. They've taken Mom's company. They're telling lies about us on the news. This might be our only chance. We need to discuss this with your mother, he said finally. Back at the car, April initially reacted with the expected outrage, but as Katja outlined the security protocols and limited options, her business strategist's mind began analyzing the angles. If we proceed with this, she said carefully, what exactly would happen? Katja explained the plan. Celeste would enter as a transfer patient, supposedly being moved from the American program to the Swiss facility for advanced treatment. Katja, as intake nurse, would escort her through processing. Meanwhile, Tad would use the maintenance access to reach the server room, where Katja would meet him during the scheduled systems check. The real goal, Katja emphasized, isn't just evidence. It's the children. 12 new arrivals tomorrow, all healthy children about to be systematically disabled to meet client specifications. You're talking about a rescue operation, not just intelligence gathering, April realized. Both, Tad confirmed. But how do we get 12 children out of a secure facility? April asked. Katja smiled. The same way they bring them in, medical transport. Except our ambulances will take them to safety, not to harm. Our ambulances? Tad questioned. You're not the only ones fighting the network, Katja revealed. We have a resistance movement, former staff who discovered the truth, parents who realized what was happening to their adopted children. We've been gathering resources and planning for this opportunity. She displayed a tablet showing a complex extraction plan. 3 medical transport vehicles, routes mapped through unmonitored forest roads, and a private airfield 20 kilometers from here. We have a humanitarian medical flight registered to depart for Germany tomorrow afternoon, perfectly legitimate cover for transporting children. This seems too convenient, April said. Why now? Why us? Because your public exposure in America created the perfect diversion, Katja explained. The network's resources are focused on containing your scandal and rebuilding their American operation. Security here is actually lighter than usual, as key personnel were dispatched to handle the crisis you created. As they debated the plan's merits and risks, Celeste's voice cut through the discussion. I'm doing it, she stated, with or without your permission. All my life, Celeste continued, people have made decisions about my body without asking me. They put medicine in my eyes to make me seem blind. They made me pretend I couldn't see. Now I finally have a chance to use what they did to me to help other kids. Her voice broke slightly. Please don't tell me I can't. April moved to embrace her daughter, tears glistening in her eyes. When did you get so brave? I've always been brave, Celeste answered simply. I just couldn't let anyone see it. Decision made. They spent the next hours refining the plan. Katja provided schematics of the facility, security protocols, and the precise timing required. Tad would enter through maintenance access at 9 a.m. When shift change created a brief security gap. Celeste would arrive with the other children at 9 a.m., entering through the main medical reception. Once inside, Katja instructed Celeste, you'll go through standard intake procedures, medical history review, preliminary examination, assignment to a treatment group. I'll be monitoring you, but we can't acknowledge each other directly. I understand, Celeste nodded. When do I create the distraction? At exactly 10 a.m., when the children are gathered in the orientation room, that's when the security system does its daily diagnostic cycle, a 2-minute window where cameras freeze on loop. Tad studied the facility's layout. And the server room? Level B2, behind the director's office. You'll need this. Katja handed him a specialized flash drive. It will automatically extract the key files once connected. As dawn approached, the details solidified into a viable plan. Their window of opportunity would be narrow, less than 30 minutes to extract the evidence and initiate the children's rescue before security protocols would detect the breach. If anything goes wrong, Tad told Celeste, forget the plan. Your safety comes first. And yours, she replied stubbornly. April's role would be coordination from outside, monitoring communications and preparing for rapid evacuation once the operation was complete. Though she hated being separated from both her father and daughter, her strategic mind recognized the logic. As the first light of morning touched the alpine peaks, Katja prepared to leave. I have to return before my absence is noticed. Be at these coordinates at 8 a.m. She handed Tad a small device. This will temporarily scramble the perimeter sensors when activated. After she disappeared into the forest, the 3 generations of Monroes sat in the car, the weight of tomorrow's mission hanging between them. We should try to rest, Tad suggested. April reached across to take his weathered hand. I spent years hating you, she admitted. Believing you chose drugs over family, that you died a disgrace. I know, he replied. Now I'm sending my daughter into danger because of your crusade. Her voice wavered. If anything happens to her, I'll protect her with my life, Tad promised. From the back seat, Celeste watched their reconciliation through eyes that saw with perfect clarity, not just physically, but emotionally. Tomorrow, they would confront the machine that had manufactured her disability and separated her family. Whether they succeeded or failed would determine if hundreds of other children would suffer the same fate. Fog shrouded the valley as morning broke over the research facility. From their vantage point on the ridge, April watched through binoculars as a convoy of 3 unmarked vans approached the complex's main gate. Her heart clenched, knowing that each vehicle likely carried children destined for processing, medical procedures that would create artificial disabilities to increase their market value. Transport arrival confirmed, she reported through her encrypted comm device. 3 vehicles, just as Katja predicted. Roger that, came Tad's voice. He and Celeste had already separated, taking positions according to their plan. Proceeding to the maintenance access point. The facility's security seemed routine. Guards checked the vehicles, but the official-looking medical transport passed through with minimal scrutiny. After all, deliveries of research subjects were normal operations. Mom? Celeste's small voice came through the comm. I can see the other kids through the van window. They look scared. Stay focused, sweetheart, April replied. Remember what we practiced. For the next 15 minutes, April monitored communications as Tad infiltrated through the maintenance tunnel and Celeste arrived with the other children. The plan was in motion, each piece moving into position like a complex chess game. I'm in, Tad reported at 9 a.m. Maintenance corridors are clear. Proceeding to sublevel bone, April checked her watch. 1 hour and 10 minutes until the crucial distraction. She forced herself to breathe steadily, though every maternal instinct screamed to abort the mission and protect her child. Inside the facility, Celeste stood in line with 11 other children, ages 6 to 10. They shuffled forward as medical staff in white coats processed each new arrival. When her turn came, a nurse with a tablet recorded her information. Celeste Monroe, she stated. Transfer from American Program, Visual Impairment Division. Reason for transfer, the nurse asked. Advanced treatment protocol, Celeste recited. Current medication regimen proving insufficient. The nurse nodded, satisfied. Proceed to examination room 3. As Celeste moved through the sterile corridor, she cataloged every detail, the security camera positions, the staff movement patterns, the access panels requiring keycards. Her formerly suppressed intelligence now worked at full capacity, her photographic memory storing information they would need later. Meanwhile, Tad navigated the service areas, his former military training evident in his silent movement. His disguise, maintenance coveralls appropriated from Katja, allowed him to move with relative freedom through the less secure areas. "Approaching server level," he whispered. "Security is lighter than expected. Most guards seem concentrated around the main medical wing." "That matches Katja's intelligence," April confirmed. Focus shifted to the new arrivals. The new arrivals, including Celeste, were gathered in a large orientation room by 10 a.m. Medical staff distributed water and explained the facility's rules in soothing, clinical tones, describing it as a special treatment center for exceptional children. The other children, none showing any signs of disability yet, looked confused and frightened. Celeste scanned the room, identifying Katja among the medical staff. Their eyes met briefly, an imperceptible nod exchanged. "I count 12 children total," Celeste sub-vocalized into her hidden comm device. "Average age 8 years. All appear healthy. No visible disabilities." "As expected," April replied. "Remember, 15 minutes until distraction time." On sub-level B2, Tad encountered his first significant obstacle, a security checkpoint outside the administrative section housing the server room. 2 guards monitored access, checking credentials of all personnel. "Security checkpoint not on the schematics," he reported. "I need an alternative route." "Checking," April responded, reviewing the facility plans Katja had provided. "There's a utility conduit through the adjacent laboratory wing, section 23B on your map." Tad backtracked, locating the unmarked access panel that would bypass the checkpoint. As he worked to open it, a voice came from behind him. "Maintenance requested in Sector 5, a white-coated lab technician stated, looking at Tad. "Why are you on this level?" Tad kept his face partially averted. "Climate control issue in the server room. Running hot." "I didn't see a work order for that." "Emergency call down," Tad replied. "Systems flagged critical temperature 15 minutes ago." For a tense moment, the technician seemed ready to challenge him further. Then his tablet chimed with an alert. "Fine, but check in at the desk next time." He hurried off toward another section. "Close call," Tad murmured. In the orientation room, Celeste watched the clock. 2 minutes until 10 a.m., distraction time. She had positioned herself near a young boy who seemed particularly anxious. "Are you okay?" she whispered. The boy shook his head. "I want to go home. They said my parents sent me here, but I don't believe them. They lied to me too," Celeste confided. "But help is coming." The boy's eyes widened. "Really? When things get crazy, stay close to me." At exactly 10 a.m., Celeste implemented their plan. She stood suddenly, pointing at the ceiling with a terrified expression. "There's smoke. I see smoke." The other children looked up in confusion, seeing nothing. But Celeste's performance was convincing. She began coughing dramatically and backing toward the emergency exit. "Fire!" she shouted. "I smell fire!" The medical staff moved to calm the children, but several were already becoming agitated. Katja used the confusion to slip away, ostensibly to check the hallway for the reported smoke. "Distraction initiated," Celeste reported. "Katja is moving." "Roger that," Tad confirmed. "I'm at the server room door, awaiting access." 2 minutes later, as the security cameras ran their diagnostic loop, Katja appeared at the server room's secondary entrance, using her access card to admit Tad. "We have exactly 4 minutes before the system registers unauthorized access," she warned. Tad worked quickly, inserting the specialized drive into the main server port. The device automatically began extracting critical files, patient records, treatment protocols, financial transactions, and most importantly, client lists connecting wealthy adopters to the children they had purchased. "Download at 60%, he reported. "Katja, I need access to the director's private server as well. That system requires biometric authentication. I can't bypass it." "No need," Tad replied, retrieving a small device from his pocket. 15 years hunting them taught me a few tricks." He attached the device to the biometric scanner, which quickly cycled through stored fingerprint patterns until finding a match. "Download complete on the main server," April confirmed. Standing by for director's files. In the orientation room, Celeste's distraction had evolved. Several children were now genuinely upset, and the medical staff struggled to maintain order. We need to proceed to the next phase, Celeste urged through her comm. They're calling for security. Copy that, April responded. The extraction team is in position. On my signal. Outside the facility, 3 legitimate-appearing ambulances had arrived at the main gate, their drivers presenting credentials as a medical transfer team from Geneva University Hospital. The coordination was flawless, exactly as the resistance movement had planned. Director's files secured, Tad reported, evidence obtained. Moving to the extraction point, Katja led Tad through a service corridor toward the medical wing where Celeste and the other children waited. Security will detect the breach any minute. We need to move fast. In the orientation room, the head physician had finally restored order when the facility's lights suddenly dimmed, then switched to emergency power. A calm, computerized voice announced, "Attention all personnel. Security Protocol 7 has been initiated. Please proceed to designated containment areas." "That's our signal," Katja announced. "Children, we need to evacuate immediately. Follow me in an orderly line." The medical staff hesitated, looking to their superior for guidance. "Transfer orders came directly from the director," Katja stated firmly. "These children are being moved to the secondary facility as a precaution." The head physician frowned. "I wasn't informed. It's an emergency protocol," Katja interrupted. Confusion was their ally. As alarms began to sound in distant parts of the facility, the medical staff's training kicked in. Protocol dictated evacuation of research subjects during security breaches. Celeste gathered the children, whispering reassurances. "We're going somewhere safe. Just stay together." Tad joined them at the medical wing's service exit, where the first ambulance had backed up to the loading dock. His maintenance disguise and Katja's medical authority created a bubble of apparent legitimacy amid the growing chaos. "Transfer team ready to receive. Patience," the ambulance driver confirmed, another resistance member executing their role perfectly. One by one, the children were loaded into the waiting vehicle. Security personnel, focused on locating the source of the system breach, paid little attention to a standard medical evacuation following security protocols. 9 minutes since server access, April reported through the comm. The facial recognition system will reset in approximately 3 minutes. The urgency was palpable as they loaded the last children into the ambulance. Celeste kept the young boy she had spoken to earlier close by her side, calming him with quiet assurances. "All children secured," Tad confirmed. "Katja, you need to come with us. They'll identify your involvement within hours." Katja shook her head. "I need to ensure the evidence reaches the right people. Go, I'll meet you at the rendezvous point." Before they could argue further, a security alert blared through the facility. Unauthorized data access detected. Full lockdown initiating in 60 seconds. All personnel implement the containment protocol. "Go," Katja urged. "The other teams are already moving." The ambulance doors closed as the driver accelerated away from the loading dock. Through the rear windows, they watched Katja hurrying toward another exit as armed security personnel flooded the area. "First ambulance clear," April confirmed from her observation point. "Second and third vehicles exiting through north and east gates. Rendezvous at checkpoint Alpha in 20 minutes. Inside the ambulance, Celeste moved among the confused children. "It's okay," she assured them. "These people won't hurt you. They're taking us somewhere safe." "How do you know?" asked the boy she had befriended. "Because I can see clearly now. And I'm making sure you will too." As the ambulance wound its way through the mountain roads, Tad verified the extracted data. "We have everything, treatment protocols detailing how they induce each disability, client specifications requesting specific conditions, financial transactions, and most importantly, the client list." "How many?" April asked. 342 children placed worldwide," Tad replied. "Politicians, celebrities, corporate leaders, all benefiting from tax breaks and charitable status while these children suffered. And the evidence of inducing disabilities? Comprehensive. medication regimens, behavioral conditioning protocols, even video documentation of the procedures. They recorded everything. Their scientific pride created a perfect evidence trail. At Checkpoint Alpha, a remote alpine lodge operated by the Resistance, the three ambulances converged. Medical professionals immediately began assessing the children, administering treatments to counteract any medications already in their systems. April arrived shortly after, embracing Celeste with desperate relief. "Never again," she whispered. "I'm never letting you out of my sight again." The reunion was brief as they moved to the lodge's communication center, where Resistance members had established secure channels to trusted media outlets worldwide. "The evidence package is ready," announced a former cybersecurity expert who had joined the Resistance after discovering his own adopted son had been subjected to the network's practices. "We've prepared simultaneous releases to journalists in 27 countries. What about Katja?" Celeste asked, concern evident in her voice. As if in answer, a Resistance member burst into the room. "Vehicle approaching. It's Katja." They hurried outside as a battered service van pulled up. Katja emerged, bloodied but triumphant, carrying additional hard drives. "The director's personal files," she explained, handing them to the technical team. "Everything, including video conferences with government officials discussing the program. You were supposed to meet us at the rendezvous," Tad admonished, helping her inside. "Had to make a detour," she replied with grim satisfaction. "Stopped by the medication storage facility on my way out. Let's just say those chemicals won't be hurting any more children." Within the lodge, the rescued children were already showing signs of recovery. Medical staff explained that most of the conditions induced by the network were reversible with proper treatment. The psychological damage would take longer to heal, but with proper support, these children had a fighting chance at normal lives. "We're ready to transmit," the communications team announced. Simultaneous release to all channels in 3 minutes. April, Tad, and Celeste gathered around the main screen as the evidence they had risked everything to obtain prepared to go public. The client list alone would shake governments worldwide. 17 senators, 4 Supreme Court justices, dozens of celebrities, and over 100 corporate leaders were implicated. "This ends today," Tad said quietly, "after 15 years of fighting from the shadows." "Not just ends," April corrected. "This is where healing begins." Celeste, standing between them, took their hands in hers. "For everyone." As the countdown reached 0, the truth about the billionaire's daughter who was born blind until a homeless man discovered the truth became the catalyst for a global reckoning, a story of manufactured disability transformed into a revolution of healing and justice. 6 months later, April Ashworth stood before the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, the chamber packed with delegates, media, and survivors. "The Hartwell hearings have entered their 14th week," April began. "Thus far, the investigations have led to the resignation of 17 world leaders, criminal charges against 43 Fortune 500 companies, and the identification of processing centers on 6 continents." She paused, allowing the translator to catch up. The audience remained utterly silent, captivated by the woman who had sacrificed everything to expose the truth. "But statistics cannot capture the human cost," she continued. "Each number represents a child who was deliberately harmed for profit, a child like my daughter, Celeste." The chamber doors opened, and Celeste walked confidently to her mother's side. At 9 years old, she carried herself with remarkable poise, her clear eyes meeting the gaze of world leaders without hesitation. "6 months ago, my daughter was known to the world as the blind heiress," April explained. "Today, she sees perfectly, her vision restored after years of induced disability through systematic medication." Celeste stepped to the microphone. "I'm one of the lucky ones," she stated. "My condition was reversible once the medication stopped. Some children weren't as fortunate. Some will carry permanent physical damage from what was done to them." Photographs appeared on the chamber's large screens, before and after images of children rescued from the network's facilities worldwide. The contrast was striking. Vacant expressions transformed into alert, engaged faces, slumped postures now straight and confident. 217 children have been rescued directly from processing centers, Celeste continued, and 843 have been identified in adoptive homes, where many are still receiving treatment to reverse their induced conditions. In the front row, Tad Monroe sat beside Dr. Evelyn Kai, whose early betrayal had been revealed as a complex deception. She had been working as a double agent within the network for years, gathering evidence while appearing to serve their interests. Her testimony had been crucial in the early prosecutions. The Vatican has announced sweeping reforms, April reported, after investigations revealed several bishops participated in the trafficking network, using church orphanages as recruitment centers. Religious organizations worldwide have implemented new transparency protocols for all adoption services. The evidence they had extracted from the Swiss facility had proven more damning than they could have imagined. Operation Charity Shield's documents revealed a conspiracy spanning decades. Children manufactured to specification, marketed to wealthy clients who benefited from tax breaks and public sympathy, all while unwittingly funding black operations that perpetuated the cycle. Senator Hartwell remains in custody, April continued, having been denied diplomatic immunity when the extent of her personal profiteering was exposed. Her cooperation has been instrumental in identifying higher-level operatives within the network. The Hartwell hearings, named after the disgraced senator, had dominated global news for months. Each day brought new revelations, new arrests, new children identified and rescued. What had begun as one family's fight for truth had become a worldwide reckoning. This was never about justice through courts alone, April emphasized. This is about revolution through exposure, about changing systems that allowed vulnerable children to be exploited. She gestured to the chamber doors, which opened to reveal dozens of children entering, all former victims of the network, now in various stages of recovery. They filled the aisles, a living testimony to both the horror they had endured and the resilience of the human spirit. "I stand before you having lost everything I once valued," April acknowledged. "My company, my social position, my wealth, all gone. But I have gained something far more precious, the truth. My father's return to my life and my daughter's genuine sight." The chamber erupted in applause as Tad joined his daughter and granddaughter at the podium, 3 generations united not just by blood, but by their shared mission. After the formal proceedings, they retreated to a private room where Sister Magdalene waited. Now serving as coordinator for the International Child Recovery Initiative, she had transformed St. Michael's Cathedral into a rehabilitation center for network victims. "The Swiss facility has been secured," she reported. "All children have been placed in proper medical care, and the staff who cooperated are providing testimony." "And Katja?" Celeste asked eagerly. "Coordinating the Geneva Rehabilitation Center. She's requested your presence there tomorrow. Apparently several children have been asking to meet the girl who could always see." Tad studied a tablet displaying global recovery operations. "The Dubai facility director is talking. Says he can identify board members from the primary financing corporation. That's the last major node," April noted. "Once we have the financing structure exposed, we can dismantle their ability to rebuild." Outside the UN complex, hundreds of former network victims and their families had gathered in solidarity, a community forged through shared trauma and healing. Many held signs thanking the Ashworth-Monroe Truth Commission that had grown from their initial exposure. Later that evening, in their hotel suite overlooking Lake Geneva, the family shared a quiet moment of reflection. April had transformed the remnants of her fortune into the Clarity Foundation, dedicated to identifying and treating children with manufactured disabilities worldwide. "Did you ever imagine this outcome?" she asked her father, as they watched Celeste drawing at the table. Another talent that had blossomed once her medication ceased. "Not in my wildest dreams," Tad admitted. "For 15 years, I fought alone, considered a delusional conspiracy theorist. Now those same conspiracies are headline news." Celeste looked up from her drawing, a remarkably detailed rendering of the Swiss facility where their revolution had begun. "I'm making copies for all the rehabilitation centers," she explained, "so the children can see where they came from and understand they weren't crazy when they suspected something was wrong." Her photographic memory had become a powerful tool in the recovery effort. She could identify trafficking handlers by their voices alone, having unconsciously memorized their speech patterns during years of pretending not to see them. Her testimony had already led to dozens of arrests. "The board meeting is tomorrow," April reminded them. "They'll vote on implementing the new protocols in all UN member countries. The Ashworth Protocols, as they had been named, established unprecedented oversight for adoptions involving children with disabilities, medical verification requirements, ongoing independent assessments, and whistleblower protections for medical staff who suspected abuse. Will it be enough?" Tad wondered aloud. The network operated undetected for decades. "It has to be," April replied. "We've exposed the truth. Now we have to ensure the systems change permanently." A notification chimed on Tad's tablet, secure message from Agent Roberts. She had been promoted to lead a specialized FBI division targeting medical trafficking networks, her own niece among those now receiving treatment for induced autism symptoms. "The Philippines facility has been located," Tad announced, reading the message. "Extraction operation scheduled for tomorrow night." Celeste set down her pencil. "How many children?" 34, Tad answered. April moved to the window, watching lights reflect on the lake surface. 6 months ago, I believed I was saving children through my charitable work. Now I know I was unwittingly supporting their exploitation." "You were a victim too," Tad reminded her. Celeste joined them, her drawing complete. It showed not just the facility, but a new addition. Children walking out into sunlight, eyes wide with wonder. "This is how I remember it," she explained. "Not the fear, but the moment we all realized we could be free." The following morning, they visited the Geneva Rehabilitation Center where Katja greeted them with unexpected news. "Dr. Corvus has offered a complete confession in exchange for consideration in sentencing. He's provided access to offshore accounts containing over $3 billion in network proceeds, money that will fund rehabilitation services," April noted. As they toured the facility, children approached Celeste with shy curiosity. Many were still adapting to their improving conditions, learning to walk without induced tremors, discovering visual abilities they'd been told they didn't possess, speaking without manufactured impediments. A small girl tugged at Celeste's sleeve. "Is it true you always knew you could see?" Celeste knelt to meet her eyes. "I knew, but I was too afraid to tell anyone. Were you afraid too?" The girl nodded. "They said bad things would happen to my new parents if I told them. I was told the same thing," Celeste assured her. "But it was a lie. The truth is what sets us free." That simple exchange captured the essence of their revolution, not just exposing a criminal network, but liberating children from the psychological chains that had bound them to silence. Later that day, as the UN board unanimously approved the Ashworth Protocols, Tad stood at the back of the chamber, watching his daughter address world leaders with eloquence and authority. The homeless man who had discovered the truth about a billionaire's supposedly blind daughter had reclaimed not just his identity, but his purpose. The final vote tally appeared on the chamber's display screen: 193 in favor, 0 against, 0 abstentions. Universal adoption of the most comprehensive child protection framework in history. As applause filled the chamber, Celeste sought out her grandfather in the crowd, their eyes meeting in shared triumph. She no longer needed to pretend blindness, and he no longer needed to hide in the shadows. Together with April, they had transformed personal tragedy into global change. That evening, as coordinated rescue operations commenced across 3 continents, Celeste stood on their hotel balcony, watching the sunset paint Lake Geneva in brilliant colors she could now fully appreciate. Behind her, April and Tad reviewed secure communications from field teams reporting successful extractions. Philippines facility secured, 34 children safe. Dubai secondary site located. Operation commencing. Rio processing center neutralized. Medical staff in custody. Celeste turned to her mother and grandfather, her expression serene despite all she had endured. "They tried to steal our light to feed their darkness," she said softly, echoing words she had spoken during an early interview that had gone viral worldwide. "They created disabilities to enable their crimes. They thought helpless children would stay helpless forever." She smiled, the setting sun illuminating her face. "They were wrong. We're not just survivors, we're the revolution, and we see everything now." As darkness fell over Geneva, lights came on across the city, a fitting metaphor for the children worldwide whose lives were being illuminated by truth after years of induced shadows.